So obviously COVID-19 has prevented students from doing their exams, and because of that, students have been given grades that they didn't actually earn because they didn't do any exam papers. A lot of students have been expressing how poor their grades have been and how the Tory government has failed them. A lot of people have actually been protesting in the streets during a pandemic because they're very intelligent about how GCSE and A-level results for 2020 have been too low, and lots of students have been treated unfairly because their results that they've been given are much lower than what their teachers predicted them to get. More so A-level students, because obviously their grades are much more detrimental to their future. But with me, honestly, and I want to talk about this topic a lot, I think a lot of people have been misinformed about these A-level results, because there are lots of holes that I want to talk about, a lot of things that I want to talk about in this video, so hopefully it turns out well. Smash a like on this video if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new today. I think a lot of people probably want to know what my opinion is on this whole malarkey, and want me to talk about my results maybe. I don't know, I sound like a flipping narcissist. Everyone wants to know my opinion, and how it affects me. I used to get loads of people who used to call me a narcissist on my YouTube channel, in the comments. And I was always confused when I saw these comments because I was literally thinking to myself when I read them, my channel's literally about me. If I wasn't being a narcissist, how would I make videos about me? How does that make any sense? I don't know. So obviously with A-level results, a lot of people have been given results that were a lot lower than what their teachers predicted. And I can empathise with a lot of students regarding this because, for example, with me, I did well in my A-levels. I did very well in my A-levels in comparison to my predicted grades. I was predicted to get 3 C's. So if I actually, was in the 2020 season of A-level exams, and obviously I wouldn't have been able to do them because of the coronavirus, I would have been given treble C, maybe even less, because obviously 40% of students had their grades downgraded from their predicted grades. So I might have got CCD, which would have completely ruined my future, because obviously I wanted to go to the University of Nottingham to study chemistry. That's what I do now, that's what I study now. With CCD, I don't even think I'd be able to be a cleaner at the University of Nottingham, let alone a student. I don't know what I'll do. I guess I'll just be homeless. And I feel like a lot of people are probably in that circumstance this year. A lot of people probably were predicted to get maybe all Bs, and were only given maybe all Bs for their A-level results. But they were just kind of taken away from the chance of actually doing the exams. I don't really know how this video is going to turn out because there's just a lot of things I want to talk about. But I think with this scenario of people being given their predicted grades, because there's been a whole U-turn regarding it, I believe now all the grades have been upped to the original predicted grade. So if you were downgraded from your teacher's predicted grades, your grades would have been revised. And to be fair, I don't think that's a very good thing to do, because a lot of people have been uttering that the Tory government has failed students. Realistically, they've not. Realistically, they've helped students if you want to be logical about it, because if you look at the results, even before the U-turn, which I think was done today as I record this video, you actually look at it and you realise that results for this year are very good. Very good indeed. This is before the U-turn, which has made everyone's results much, much better than the years before. So in actuality, A-level students have benefited hugely for the grades that the government has given. They've benefited off it hugely because the overall grades have gone up. So when people say that the Tory government's failed students, I think that's incredibly stupid to say, because technically they've helped students, because on average people have got better results. So it's a bit of a stupid statement to say. But the thing is though with the results, and this actually really annoyed me, is a lot of people's predicted grades have been downgraded disproportionately if you go to a public school, so a school that you don't pay to go to. It seems like a lot of schools which you pay to go to, private schools, I never know what terminology they use, because I heard recently that a public school is one that you pay for, but so is a private school. So I don't know which is which. I'm really confused. But pretty much, if you go to a school which you pay to go to, according to statistics, less people who have paid to go to a sixth form, for example, a non-state school, I think that's the correct term to use, a lot less of their grades from their predicted grades have been degraded in comparison to people who've just gone to normal sixth forms and, state schools. A lot of the state school students have disproportionately had their grades lower, and I can get why people are angry about that, because I think it's so unfair. Like, I've never been for non-state schools. As a conservative, I think that's one of the worst conservative values, believing that students should be able to be brought into a better education just because they have a richer family. Like, I don't agree with that at all, because I think that just gives everyone like an unfair disadvantage, if you don't go to a state school. It's like, if you look at the top unis, a lot of the students, a lot more than, say, the mediocre unis, have gone to private schools. It's obvious that if you go to a private school that you pay to go to, you will do better. You will get a better quality of education. And I don't believe that's something that you should need to pay for. I don't think you should need to pay for better education, because I think education is such a individual thing. I don't think you should be able to buy a good education. I don't think you should be able to go to a sixth form and just because it's in a certain area, you should be advantaged. My sixth form is in a great area, a fantastic area. And because of that, if I wanted to go to an Oxbridge uni, there would be absolutely no regard for my school being crap, because my sixth form was abysmal. The year I studied my A-levels was one of the worst years they've ever had in terms of A-level results. The school did abysmal. And the thing is with my sixth form is it is noted as quite a good sixth form, quite a good school because of the area it's in. So because it's in such a good area, the poor teaching quality, which is merely a fact, was kind of disregarded when it came to, applying to go to a university. Because if you go to a sixth form in a crappy area, you are going to be given a greater chance with the same A-level results as someone who went to my school, for example, my sixth form, just because of the area that the school's in. It's like the people who accept the students to study a degree at a specific uni, like an Oxbridge uni, all they look at is the area of the school, and they just assume that if a school is in a good area, it's a great sixth form. They can't have bad quality teaching, when actually that can happen. And they also assume that a school that's in a bad area has bad teaching, which is not always true. I always felt quite, for my sixth form, I felt very shot in the head because all my teachers were crap. The sixth form was crap. Everything about it was crap. The teachers despised me, and there's proof in the pudding here. I was predicted treble C, which is such a low ball for me. It is such a low ball. Like, that is almost an insult. It is an insult to my intelligence, because I did much better in the real things. Much, much better. It was a complete low ball, that set of predicted grades were. And I was predicted that low set of grades because I was a bad student. I was a very controversial student. I always talked crap about the teachers. I got into a lot of trouble at sixth form because with me what happened is pretty much in year 10, in year 11, I was quiet all the way up until year 10, year 11. But then in year 11, I think, or was it year 10? I don't remember. It was like, it was like March. I think it was in year 10. About halfway through year 10, I was recorded. I was recorded speaking some locker room talk by one of my old friends. And pretty much what happened is I was exposed for it and everyone hated me. And then after everyone hated me, they all went for my YouTube channel. And I went into this position of like, oh, I don't care what people think about me. I'm going to just talk crap on my YouTube channel about whatever I want. I'm going to criticize school. I'm going to talk crap about people at school because I can. I did a prom rant. And I atted literally one of the most popular girls in the school. It was so funny. And I did all these things because I didn't care. But even though I didn't care, it resulted in me having much worse predicted grades. And the reason why I was predicted much worse grades than everyone else was because I was looked at so unfavourably by my behaviour. I was literally put in withdrawal for making a video about mock exams. I think I mentioned how I can't concentrate in the exams because the invigilators are too hot. And the head of sixth form, who honestly is the worst person I've met in my life. She is a complete problematic bitch. I hate her so much. I hate her guts. Still to this day. She ruined the sixth form. I'm just saying that, 100%. She literally sat me in her office and she was really close to me and She was like really emotional. She kept pointing at me and she was literally saying to me, you know, you can't treat women like that. You can't say that they're too hot. It's really sexist and horrible. You should be ashamed of yourself. I was treated like a monster. I was treated like Harvey Weinstein, for Christ's sake, just because I made a light-hearted joke of all the invigilators being hot. Because the joke is that they're not hot. That's the joke. It's just a joke. And I was put in withdrawal for a day, which is where you're literally taken out of your lessons. Like you're a really naughty boy. You're a naughty boy to go into withdrawal. And I remember when I was in withdrawal, I was with kids who, one of them was caught smoking weed in the school premises. One of them attacked another student. One of the other students was swearing constantly at teachers and being abusive. And I was with all of them just for making a joke. And I was in year 13 at the time. Like I was 17 years old and I was put with all these little shits just because I made a joke. Like people at my school, my teachers at school really hated me. And that's why I was predicted Triple C. So if I was in the circumstance of being given my predicted grades, I would have failed. I would have done so badly. And the one thing that annoys me a lot is A-level exams, 100%, are so much harder. They are so much harder. The results that you will get are so much worse than what you expect. Like with my GCSEs, I expected to do well. I was a bit in over my head. I thought I was the smartest man on planet Earth. So I did do worse than I imagined. But with A-levels, 100%, this is more accurate. Most people who do their A-level results do a lot worse than they expect, especially last year at my school. And I remember certain people who literally sucked off the teachers to be predicted A-star AA to get into the best universities, you know, to be given a conditional offer. These people, they sucked off the teachers, they were predicted A-star AA, and then I ended up doing way better than them in the real exam. This happened with 3 different people. So clearly predicted grades don't mean anything. They got nowhere near A-star AA. May I just make that very, very clear. I think the problem is, though, with these predicted grades, is it's very hard for me, in my opinion, to blame the government. It's very hard for me to blame the government for giving the results that they gave initially. I believe they were wrong to disproportionately degrade people who went to state schools. I feel like that was wrong. And it was very wrong for the government not to degrade people who, you know, were brought up in a rich household that already have more privilege than everyone else. I think it was wrong for their grades to not be degraded anywhere near to the same magnitude. But besides that, I don't really see what they did particularly wrong initially anyway. Because again, if you look at the results, if you look at how many A's and A stars people got last year and you compare it to this year did way better without the U-turn. After the U-turn of all students being given the grades that they were initially predicted and them not being degraded, they've done much, much better. There was someone who had predicted grades A, B, B, but then she actually received B, C, D. I just want to make this clear. Her name is Frances Ramos. Frances Ramos. Fantastic news that you've actually done well. You know, people like that I can empathise with a lot. And I get why people like this may feel the need to protest. I get that 100%. But I think these are just very rare situations. With the algorithm, they tried to make sure that the results were generally the same as last year's. Like, they wanted the range of results, like the amount of people who got an A star, the amount of people who got A's. They wanted it to be similar to the year before, 2019. I think that's what they were going for, and that's why they degraded so many predictions. But honestly, I genuinely believe that teacher predictions are absolute crap. They are absolute crap. And I really think the one thing the government should have done, and this is, I think, this is the point of me making this video. I really wish they just did the exams and social distanced. Like, genuinely speaking, one of the easiest places to social distance and keep safe would be in an exam hall, surely. Like, you literally all could come into the exam hall. Like, I don't get why they didn't forcefully isolate all the students, did a quick fever test on their forehead when they came in. Obviously, yes, it would have been harder to revise during COVID-19. I mean, the isolation, to be honest, I feel like that would have benefited a lot of students. You know, not being able to go out to concerts, not being able to go outside. Surely that should benefit you in the sense of I don't know, you have less distractions. I don't know. I think the negatives of the lockdown effects on your mental health and the positives of not having the ability to go out and waste your time, I think they kind of balance each other out. But I think generally, if there was obviously the initial lockdown by the government on the country, I feel like if they just did the exams anyway and just kept them, all the students socially distanced, they would have got a lot more accurate grades than what they've got now. Because as I want to make very clear, predicted grades by teachers are incredibly ignorant. You know, it's mostly based on how well you get on with the teacher. You know, I know people who were predicted treble A star, and they got nowhere near that in the actual A-levels, and that's because A-level, the exams are hard. They're really hard. They're really hard. That's all I can say. And I feel like right now there's a huge problem for the, well, soon to be, Year 11 and Year 13 students, the next lot. And the reason why is because now, you know, the grade boundaries have been hugely inflated. You know, because everyone else did so well last year, even though they didn't sit the exams. They've missed out on the past papers. I mean, why would they write papers if no one's doing the flipping exam? And on top of that, they've missed out on, I don't even know, the teaching hours. You know, students have not been at school since I think it was April. They missed April, May, June. They missed so many months of teacher, you know, in-person teaching. You know, at the end of year 12 as well, like these students, the next lot of sixth form exam takers, they're the ones who have been hit the hardest in my opinion. And I really don't get why no one's empathizing with them. I've literally seen people reply saying, oh, but what about next year's A-level students? And people have been replying like, oh, no one cares about them. You know, it's time. We only need to talk about the people who got the results now. And I get why, because obviously a lot of A-level students right now, they would have been given results that are unfair and have, you know, put a rock in their tracks, which is unfair because they haven't even failed the exam. They haven't even done one to begin with. You know, it's very hard to say you failed an exam when they didn't even sit it. You know, but likewise, it's quite hard to say, oh yeah, you got an A star in that subject when you never did an exam in it, like a proper exam. So I don't really get like how you meant to predict it. Pretty much my point is, everyone was bound to get angry. Like, no one did exams, and there's no way, like, it can be sorted out. Like, even though, like, the grades have all been fixed and everyone's happy now because of the U-turn, I feel like a lot of people, when they're happy about it, they're really, really slow thinkers because they're not actually considering the impact of giving everyone grossly over the top grades, because that's exactly what's happened. The A and A star results after the U-turn are godly high. I think the statistic is 20% more A's and A stars have been achieved than the year before, which was the year I sat them in. So that's fantastic news, isn't it? Honestly, I think that's unfair because a lot of students, they didn't even have to sit an exam. Like, what happens if you're a student who was predicted A star AA? I mean, you didn't have to do anything to get the A star. Realistically, you didn't have to sit any exams and you didn't really have to revise much. You know, you wouldn't have had to revise as much as you would need to if you actually sat the exam. This whole situation is chaotic, and I really wish students were just forced to do the exams, to be honest. I think that would have been the best thing to do, because even if everyone did worse on average, they could have just knocked down the grade boundaries, which is probably what they would have done anyway. And if certain people struggled a lot more with lockdown, they should have, you know, included that a lot more in the revision of the results. But in conclusion, a lot of people right now are happy that the results have been overturned and there's been a U-turn on the predicted grades. People have been given their predicted grades instead of the downgraded predicted grades. But I feel like people who are just genuinely happy about that are very, you know, you're not thinking very hard. Because yes, it's great that you got high grades, but now everyone has high grades. And a lot of people, let's be honest, don't deserve the predicted grades they got. And it's really unfair to people who sat the exams the year before and did considerably worse on average, people who missed out on uni because of it, to people who didn't even sit the exams to begin with. Like, I just think that's unfair. And I don't want to come across as cruel. I don't want to come across as over the top because I know it's not their fault. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like degrading the predicted grades is just a bit dumb. Because obviously it's unfair. But then again, going off the predicted grades and not degrading them is stupid, because then on average everyone does a lot better than last year, which is unfair. And all 5-10 years of the past. And on top of that, you can't go off the mock results, because I remember with my school, they were really strict with the mocks. I got BBB and all my mocks did better than that in the real things. And honestly, yeah, like the fact that they, you know, the reason why my mocks were poor was because they harshly marked them. So I don't really know what you could have gone off, because all sixth forms are different. Some sixth forms will mark the mock papers exactly the same as the real papers. Others will overly mark it. They'll mark it harshly. Not overly mark it, that makes no sense. But like, they'll be overcritical when marking. When it comes to predicted grades, some teachers are negative because they want you to prove them wrong. I feel like that's what my teachers were like. Some teachers are negative because they hate you. Some teachers are overly positive because if you want to go to an Oxbridge uni, and this is the biggest point, if you want to go to an Oxbridge uni, I remember with my sixth form, you had to go to the sixth form leader, the head of sixth form. And the reason why is because she would adjust your grades to fit for the conditional offer. That's literally it. Like, no one got into an Oxbridge uni at my school at all. I'm pretty sure that this year, some of them would have got in because of the predicted grades. It just seems like if you need a certain set of predicted grades, they'll give it you. And as long as you were a good pupil, as in you didn't chat shit about the teachers and you weren't controversial, they'll just give it to you. But if you're someone like me, who is a white, hetero man, and has all the privilege in the world, you know, you are given, you know, mean predicted grades just for being controversial. Like, I just don't like that at all. Anyway, guys, sorry for rambling and being annoying. Hopefully you guys can see my opinion. I want to make this clear. My opinion on things is not rigid. Like, me and my friend Connor, I've been friends for a long time. I've not really talked to him for a while. But me and him are going to be starting a new channel on my second channel. So not really a new channel. And it's going to be a political thing. Like, we're going to be doing political videos. And the reason why I want to do political videos is because with me, I'm such a colourful person in terms of politics. I don't want to sound like a loser here. But like, with me, I really care about people's emotions. And I really do care about people. But then I'm a Tory, so I'm all over the place, if you get me. I feel like a lot of the youth, they're not into politics. And the ones are just, instead, all they do is they post stupid Instagram posts about how Trump's a racist or a sexist or he hates Muslims or whatever. Like, that's all people do at my age, it seems. Like, I look at, you know, my friends' Instagram stories sometimes, and I'll literally see them post about Trump being a racist, and I'll literally be there in my head going, you don't know what you're on about. You are literally sharing propaganda for the left. You don't know anything about politics. And I feel like there is a huge market for a show on YouTube made by people who care about politics and understand politics quite a bit, but are still learning about politics and are still, you know, trying to consider all opinions. I feel like there's a huge market for that. Because I feel like there are a lot of people who are young and they don't care about politics. They say they don't care about it, but then will share propaganda about why the Tories are so bad or why the Tories want to sell the NHS and stuff like that. And I feel like these people, if they just put in the time into researching politics, it would only help society, realistically. But anyway, guys, I'm going to end this video here. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you want to check out that new series, a link in description on the HowToCameron 2 channel, it will be. I'm probably going to rebrand that channel, so hopefully that'll go well. It probably won't get any views, to be honest, and people will probably hate it, but whatever. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll be seeing you guys later.